Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. Yeah, don't worry, it's actually me. It's one of those times a year again. Listen, little pre-patch shave here, never does anyone any bad. And to be honest, the only reason I actually did all of this is because I'm on a bit of a journey to return to the early day haps at the moment. So some of you may remember when I first came into YouTube, I was fit as a fiddle. And over the years, after a shoulder injury, right before I really started uploading to YouTube, as well as just completely engaging myself in every aspect of content creation, just kind of let it slide for a while. But now I'm not doing that, so I'm pretty active at the moment in terms of getting around and making sure that my body is well worked out. It's just easier for me to track everything if I can actually see my face. I don't really like stepping on a scale all that much because I feel like people get hyper fixated on that stuff. So being able to see my face change and having other people see my face change is, for me, one of the more, I don't know, immediately visible ways for me to track it. So that's the main reason why I'm probably going to be like this for a while, for most of the summer. Although I'm sure I'll let it grow out with patch and get a little bit of stubble here and all the way down to here and whatnot. But either way, I have a crazy busy day ahead of me because I'm recording this on Sunday. But you're going to see it on Monday. And by the time you're seeing this, about an hour ago from me posting this video, would have been my Final Fantasy 16 experience, thoughts, a bunch of videos on it, all releasing at once. I think I should have 3 videos done by then. I have one more to work on after this is actually done. And I'm so excited to finally talk about Final Fantasy 16, my thoughts, my experiences, my hopes, my dreams, and the very patient wait until June 22nd. But there's videos for that. Be sure to go click them and check them out. I'll probably add like the playlist of one of the videos to like the top right with the little eye thing that you can click on. So go watch those as well, and then also come here and watch this and then ask questions for next week's episode, because why not? Anyway, let's get to the Q&A so I can go finish those videos and make sure they're there on time. So thank you to our sponsors over on Patreon for supporting. You don't have to support. Everything is free here on the channel. But if you do want to support, that's always an option. And I got a super thanks notification on my phone, so I know that there's one of those down there. Let me scroll down real quick and see. Oh, maybe it's not on this video. Maybe it's on a different one. So my phone sends me notifications for super thanks, and I'm going to guess it was on State of the... No, yeah, I guess it would have had to have been. So yeah, I guess I should have checked what video that was on. But whoever that was, if you are watching this, whichever video you did super thanks, I suppose. But with that, let's get into the Q&A. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Totally didn't forget the hello and edit it in later. I wouldn't have noticed. I tend to only check these on Sunday, maybe sometimes the day before, but most of the time I don't notice that stuff. She could have gotten away with it, but you know what? Points for the honesty. Hey Haps, hi. Which primal has your favorite introduction? Mine is Garuda because it starts off all graceful and calm with the music as well, then shattered by her harpy screech and insane laughing. Yeah, Garuda's definitely in my top. Sorry, quick edit out. I heard Aloha messing with something, but it's not. It's just his litter box, so I just had to do a quick one. I did just make sure. So yeah, she might actually be number 1. She's long stood with me, even since 1.0 when I first saw her scene. Ravana, I enjoy quite a lot. Warrior of Light is one that's definitely a pleasure. Yeah. Those, you know what though? I gotta give points. I don't think it's one of my favorites, but I do want to give points to Ruby Weapon. I definitely enjoy the flying over, seeing you, and then like slamming down to start the fight. Like he's just searching for you, and then he finds you as target, and then bam, right on the ground and ready to go. But yeah, I think Garuda is up there as well. I think Garuda's probably my number 1. It's just such a good introduction. Also to that last person, congratulations on your ultimate clear. I saw the PS, but I saw it after I'd already answered the question, so congratulations. Hashtag Mr. Happy Sundays, stop breaking the immersion. It's Monday right now. Hiya, hi. Hope you're ready for 6.4. Ready as I ever am, I think. The experiences in the Duty Finder series you're working on is pretty great, and I love it. Would you consider later in the tier doing Party Finder experiences for the new content in 6.4 to see how well the different data centers do? I'm curious if Primal's also god-awful in Savage PF. You know, the only reason why I don't like that idea as much is because I think more people travel for Party Finder than they do for Duty Finder, if that makes sense. So like Ether already has like a pretty high concentration of the people who want to try hard, I suppose. It doesn't always mean that the quality is higher, especially in the Party Finder and the Duty Finder, but I'd say there's more people who have the mindset of performing on at least an above average level, even if you don't always run into them. And since they're going to Ether, it kind of default makes the experience on average better. I also know that Primal has this really weird habit of just not wanting to do what the other data centers do. Like, I feel like every tier, Primal is doing something, at least in one or more of the fights, that is drastically different from what the other data centers are doing. And I guess it's not that surprising. I mean, like the JP data centers, my experiences with them when I raided over there for even just a little bit was whatever strategy sticks first and is successful is the strategy that the Party Finder, or in their case, the Raid Finder, will do until the end of time. It doesn't matter if something better comes out because the idea is to have one universal strat that everybody knows and not these different strats. One could be better, one could be more comfort for some people, whatever. There's just, they don't care. Primal's kind of that same way, but it ends up being so drastically different from the rest that it's rare for people to travel to Primal, and it's not uncommon for people to leave Primal. I often see the same strats on Ether and Crystal, and then Primal's the one outlier. So I feel like because of the means of travel, maybe it's a little bit less fair to do Party Finder. It's a maybe at the very least, because these aren't really meant to be real comparisons. I mean, they're one or two offs. Like, that's not a sample size. Anyone who does any sort of statistics will tell you that's not a sample size. It's a short form competition for fun. That doesn't actually mean anything. So it's a maybe, but right now I'm not super considering it. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Haps. Hi. Can't wait for 16. Me neither. Go watch those videos. Quick question. What spell from Endwalker would you like to see added for Blue Mage in the future? Honestly, it's really hard for me to think of any of them because I don't know what they could do that's even interesting in the first place. Like, just my experience with unlocking new Blue Mage spells up to and through Stormblood has been there's usually like one or two gimmick spells like Hydro Pull or whatever it's called, or Hydro Push, you know, stuff like that. It's not even called that. It's called something else, but whatever. Like, there's one or two spells that are like that, and then the rest are always just like a variety of damage spells. Like, maybe it's a long dot, or maybe it's a multi-hit like Ravana's, or, you know, and it's just about cramming them all into buff windows, Moonflute windows, pot windows, you know, all that stuff. So it's really hard for me to specifically want one thing, because I don't think it'll be any more or less interesting than anything Blue Mage has at the moment. So I really don't have an answer for this. And I could see this one peeking in from the bottom on the last question. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hey, Haps. Hi. Hope you're doing well. Tired, but otherwise okay. Not to beat a dead horse. Oh, don't worry. I do that for a living. Anyway, but on the topic of jobs feeling the same, I feel as though role actions negatively affect the process of trying to make jobs feel distinct. In my mind, having 6 or 7 literally identical generic skills on every job within a role does nothing to help them feel different. Yeah, but the core of it is that not having those things is silly as well. Like, for example, let's even just go back to the cross-class system. Like, the fact that you need to level Gladiator to get Provoke, which is going to 100% be essential on Warrior, is silly. And then if you have one tool that's on one job and it's just straight up not on another one and there's nothing equatable to it, which in 14 is usually just damage reduction, a shield, or increased damage, it's very rare that there's some sort of really, or increased healing, I suppose. Like, things like that are like the core of useful utilities. It fundamentally doesn't make sense to not do it, but I totally understand what you're saying, and I agree with it, you know, on reading it. It's just that 14 doesn't work in such a way that I feel like you can take role actions and try to disperse them and make them unique to the different jobs. But let me see what you have here in the second paragraph. Well, I know that role actions exist as they do for balance reasons. True. Do you think they have an effect on player perception of job similarity? No, I think it really does boil down to the 2-minute thing, because even if every job has a different means of accessing their power in 2 minutes, the APM, what buttons they need to be pressing, which buttons are hard hitting, there are key differences. When I play different jobs, I do genuinely feel different playing them, especially the jobs I play. I play Monk, Black Mage, Dancer. Like, those are 3 drastically different feeling jobs, especially in the 2-minute window. But it doesn't change the fact that still I'm focusing all my efforts around a really, really powerful 2-minute window. So I think that is the core of everything. It's not the Tactician, the Shield Samba, the Troubadour. It's not all the tanks having Reprisal and all that. I think it genuinely is everybody trying to utilize the 2-minute window in nearly identical ways, even if getting to that point and actually executing it is slightly different between the job. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Edit. Hello. Oh, 2 hellos edited in. Y'all keep ratting yourselves out. I wouldn't have known. Y'all just keep doing it. I recently caught up on the latest patches after a break, and I noticed that dungeon mechanics have actually gotten involved. The latest dungeon bosses have AoE attacks that aren't even telegraphed on the ground, which used to only be in Savage or Extreme fights. You know how in every expansion they say challenging new dungeon mechanics? I think they're delivering. Well, there was no question there, but I guess the point is to infer, or for me to infer an answer based on that. And I think the big thing that I take away from what they've done with dungeons is they trust players enough that reading animations you should be able to do. If you can't, then at some point you need a fight that sort of makes you do it. Because these are not very punishing mechanics. These are things that after doing it a few times you should be able to pick up on. And if you decide to go in the harder content, it's nice that something easier has kind of given you that initial example. And to me, that seems to be largely what they're doing. I don't think they're challenging in any way, no more challenging than dungeons prior. There's an initial shock value. Maybe people are surprised that it was happening or what the ability was actually doing. But all the same, I think it is just to set a foundation. So when players who are doing casual content jump into harder content, there's a baseline like, oh, you know, that's just like the other boss where it's just their animations. There's like a relatable function between the two. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Happy. Hi. Hope you're taking good care of yourself, getting plenty of rest. Not a lot of rest. Like, I don't know, like 5 to 6 hours a night. That's something, I suppose. No drama, right? Oh, for the love of God, please no. Odd question, probably. Is it okay to simply not use some actions that are low level on a job at 90 and thus not have them on the hotbars? I feel like the way that the jobs are designed now, some jobs get an ability or two that may feel that way, but there's usually some application. Like, obviously, a Dragoon isn't exactly looking to spam Piercing Talon, but there are going to be points where, at the very least, you might as well have thrown it out if you're going to have downtime, or you just want to play safe because you're seeing something for the first time. And I'm sure, again, if I were to break down every job, I could probably find it like Scathe on Black Mage, for example. Like, there's definitely things that you lean away from, but I would say it's a bad habit to have. And you say you haven't done this, but you're just wondering, and my answer is very few. Very, very few. Like Cure 1. Don't use that. Just forego it. It's useless. Don't use it. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Haps. Hi. Glad you're settling into your new home well. Yeah, it's going pretty good. As you can see, I've started to let this get a little messy behind me with the weight bench, especially with the, like, crappy, like, $20 friggin' free weights that are back there. The adjustable free weights. I should get one of the expensive ones, but not right now. I was going to ask if you make your own cooking channel since you're passionate about food, but you already said no at the end of last week's Q&A. So my other question is, since you clearly work out or have started to again, I used to. If y'all remember, y'all go back to the OG days, you'll see a super fit Haps in there. Would you make an exercise channel? This has been answered too. My apologies. That's pretty much the same answer. Over the years of doing content creation, I have seen tons of people come and go and start and stop and all the different steps that they've taken along the way. And one of the biggest things that people do that really kind of harms their longevity, because they as people have limits, is monetizing every aspect of their life. You know, oh, I cook, I should make a video for it. I clean, I should make a video for it. Oh, I organize, I should make videos for it. Like, taking other things that take up hours of their time on any given day or week or whatever, they just start to monetize all of it. Maybe they make a new channel, maybe they just upload it to their main channel because their content's not based on a game like mine is, it's based on them as an individual. And what ends up happening is just no part of your life is your own. And I think it's nice to have a part of your life that's not only your own, but you can bring it into other aspects of your life. And it's not like people automatically know everything because you've been posting everything. Would I love to post stuff that's cooking related as a non-expert, just like, hey, this is what I did today, and then maybe talk about something random along the way? Sure, but anything random I'm going to talk about is going to have probably come from this channel, or is going to have been some story I've regurgitated a billion times. If I do fitness, you know, I'm focused on making sure that my form is correct and that I'm actually getting a workout in. You know, I don't want to stop and read chat for 45 seconds in between every set when I'm trying to get an actual workout done. I'm trying to get a pump on. I'm trying to, you know, tone whatever. It's like, there's pros and cons to it all. The pro, of course, being that when you monetize every aspect of your life, you can also write it all off. It's a big tax break. That's the complete honesty. But it's also, in my opinion, just not a very mentally healthy thing to do, at least not for me. I really need those parts of my life to be something that I do outside of content and bring into it on occasion and bring into discussion on occasion, because it allows me to have an experience that is just not something everybody knows, something that's mine, something that I know how it went, and maybe it's relevant to the conversation, maybe it's not. And I think that just, it helps me at the very least. I'm sure there are other people it would help or does help or whatnot, but for me, that's definitely kind of the healthiest way that I can approach it. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Well met, Mr. Happy. Hello. If video games didn't exist, what do you think your main hobby and career would be? If they didn't exist, I'd probably still be in tech. I mean, I went to college for tech. I did take a major in game design, but a major in game design, honestly, like looking back, was such a dumb thing to do. Like, just go to a school that teaches specifically that thing. Don't go to a tech school that happens to have a section that focuses on game design, because odds are it's not going to be as in-depth or broad as the things that you would learn in a more dedicated class or career, or even just your own personal time. Honestly, most of college when it came to tech was me teaching myself. I remember my first boss telling me, okay, we have 2 rules. 1, you need to watch all of the IT crowd, or the IT crowd as we know it. And 2, you better make Google your best friend. And it was literally like, you pay tens of thousands of dollars to Google. Like, you need to know some things. Like, you obviously don't want to know nothing about, managing data or, organizing websites or designing things. Like, you want to make sure you understand the basics of how, like, server infrastructure works and how different pieces connect to each other on all those things. Like, but at the end of the day, if you don't have an answer to something and you have that base knowledge, you just Google it. So I have a feeling that's where I'd probably be if video games didn't exist. However, in college, I did go into that fit phase, one that I'm sort of reliving now. And maybe that would have been the case. I mean, my cousin was also the same. Him and I used to basically, team up and just do a bunch of stuff for fitness back when I was in college. So maybe that would have been it. It's completely real. I did a couple of years in nutritional science. Like I said, I used to help people. I used to unofficially train people. I'd basically say, hey, you want to come to the gym with me? If you haven't, they say, I want to get back in. I'd say, come with me and I'll show you a few things. That's not PT. But at the same time, I feel like that is enough for me to infer that may have been a path that I would have taken. Hashtag Mr. Happy Ivy Mondays. Yeah, she's been chilling here. You can't see her because she's behind this, but Ivy's just been chilling there pretty much the whole time. And I don't want to wake her, so let's continue. Anyway, hey Haps, how's it going? How's the new place? It's going good, thanks. With the new Blue Mage update incoming, are there any Shadowbringers possibilities? I've been getting a lot of this lately, and I guess this is kind of the same answer as before. Again, it's hard for me to be excited about any individual ability. I will say this, I kind of want to see Burst Strike from E11, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's one that I think would be pretty funny, especially if I get to shout the same things that the boss shouts, because those lines are awesome. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. You may occasionally hear a loud slam. I don't know what the heck my upstairs neighbors is doing, but it sounds like he is stomping heavily. I hope that's not because I'm loud, and I'm loud every day and all day of every day, because I've never heard him do that before. Hi, Happy. Hello, Happy. Realized I forgot to say hi last time, so saying it here twice. What's the longest period of time you've spent not playing 14 since starting it, and why? I started playing Tears of the Kingdom while also looking to play 16 on release, and I'm thinking it might not be a bad time for me to play 14 more casually instead of logging in every day until 7.0. I haven't logged in every day to 14 in a very, very long time. Probably like 5 or 6 years since I've had like an everyday login that just wasn't for a brand new patch. But usually that's it. It's like 6 days. 6 days is like the most I usually go without playing 14, unless there's like a game release that is wholly consuming me. Like 16 probably will. And the real reason is just that there's a new game out and I want to play it. Like, if I really want to play 14 every day, I can very easily find things to do. There are so many things I haven't done in 14 that I've said I'm going to do that I haven't done. I've said I would eventually do all the Zodiac weapons, all the Anima weapons. I would go back and finish all the Eureka weapons. I can always go farm Eureka. Sometimes I like to hop on and just do BA. My crafters aren't leveled. I haven't caught up to side quest A or side quest B. I haven't cleared my map of side quests. I can make a character on another data center. I could do party find. I could easily find the reasons. But if something else comes out and I really want to play it, I'm just going to do it. Like, I'm kind of in the position with which I can do that, and it helps me not feel so burnt out on 14, especially when we're between patches for long periods of time. So yeah, usually like 6 days. I'm sure there's a longer period of time when something came out and I only wanted to play it, like probably Harvestella and around that entire fall season where they were just releasing a billion different not Final Fantasy games. Like, Square just released so many games. But I don't know the exact time. I don't really think about it, you know? Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey there, Haps. Hi. Do you think PvP maps can use more gimmicks like jump boards, speed ups, or even silly ones like oil splash or environmental changes like snowy conditions, slowing everyone, icy causing slips and slides, heat causing player abilities to catch fire and do extra damage? I feel like big world PvP can use more features. It's fun in a basic way. So the big maps, I think they could do stuff like that. I'm still personally of the opinion that we at least need maps that fulfill the basics for P. Like the fact that we don't have a capture the flag, which is one of my favorite PvP modes. I'm an Arathi Basin stan, okay? I wish we didn't have only modes that were afraid of making players feel like they needed to play PvP well. Because that's why our maps are designed the way that they are. They're designed that way so people don't feel like there's a lot of pressure on them to know how to be good at PvP. They just need to understand the objectives of the map and just do whatever they can. And yeah, when you are better, when someone isn't as good, it does stand out even in those bigger maps. But that being said, I would just love to have like normal modes that aren't gimmicky or don't have 3 teams, and I want more 2-team modes, especially ones that are not MOBAs basically with rival wings. But for the large scale maps, especially for the 3-team maps that we've gotten, yeah, I mean, go nuts with this kind of stuff there. I do think that most people don't think too seriously about those modes, but I would just like something that feels more PvP-ish, I suppose. That isn't only crystalline conflict. Hashtag Mr. Happy Monday. Hi, Mr. Happy. Hi. With 6.4 on the way, what type of content are you looking forward to doing first and last? Well, last is always anything involving crafters or gatherers, because I never do those unless it's ocean fishing, in which case, please don't give me an ocean fishing. I'm so scared of there being a new ocean fishing point related achievement for like 3 million points, 5 million points, whatever they do. Like 3 million for the Ruby Path or 5 million total. I just don't want it, please. But I always just I knock out the extreme. Like I do the story, get to the extreme, knock that out, do that a few times so I can make the guide on day 1 or 2. Even if the guide ends up being outdated in a day or 2, it's usually something that people appreciate getting out the door as quickly as possible. And then, you know, the normal mode, same deal, and then do a lot of normal mode analysis. There's going to be a lot of that going into the next week. Obviously, 16 is a bit of my focus right now as well, since, like I said, the videos would already be out at this point. So, yeah, with 6.4, it's just experiencing everything once, making guides on the new stuff, and then making sure I'm prepped for Savage the following week. That's by far the most important set of things that needs to happen 6.4 week for me as both a player and a content creator. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hi to you. Hi. And all other Eorzeans. Yeah, you. They said hi to all of you. Question for you. Okay. Square Enix talks about limited resources, but with all the money this game is raking in, why can't they hire more people and have more dedicated? The classic, just hire more people. It does not work that way. Does it become too large or siloed and groups have no unified vision? Or why can't they just add? Because you can't just hire anybody is the real answer. You can't just be like, hey, you want a job? Come here. Hey, you want a job? There needs the hiring process, and people need to be qualified for the job. And in this particular case, they also need to speak Japanese. So there's only so many people that you can hire. And they've been on a hiring spree for years. It feels like every 3 months or 4 months, so you get a reminder, hey, we're hiring this and that and this and that and this. Hell, in one of my interviews with Yoshi P, he asked me to learn Japanese and apply for a job. Like, it's not like they're not trying to hire people. And it's also, again, another thing you have to remember is that no game earns money and every dollar goes back into the game. There's money that's budgeted back into the game, and then there's money that's budgeted into the rest of the company, whether it's to pay salaries or to hire on for other projects. No game exists within like a self-contained bubble in business. So there's that as well. But that's not to say that they wouldn't give Square the money, and they have been. They've been just trying to hire, but you can't just You can't hire imaginary people. They need to be very real. So it's a long process, and we'll probably never be satisfied. It won't change anything, even if they hire more people. It probably won't change much of anything. Like maybe they don't have to choose between one thing or the other, but ultimately Final Fantasy 14 is probably just going to be Final Fantasy 14. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hi, Happy. Hi. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. First time question. All right, I'm looking forward to answering it. Since the release of the preliminary patch notes, I've seen a few people express confusion about Tombstone changing, specifically WRT things that once caused a strike. Really? Because that's like the most ultra normal thing. Like it's in literally every even numbered patch notes from 0.2 and 0.4 across every expansion. Why do we change Tombstones at all? Why not just have 2 currencies, 1 capped and 1 uncapped? I've been saying that for years. There really is no reason other than people like new stuff. That's it. Like, it's like a mental thing. Like, oh, the new tomes. Like, we actively look towards what the next tomes are going to be called. It's like nobody really guesses and says, oh, it'll probably be that. But like, there's always this weird intrigue of the next tombstone coming out. And so it's, in my opinion, it's normally a pretty funny thing to get to experience. But that being said, no, I completely agree. There's no reason why it can't just be a capped currency and an uncapped currency. And then it forcibly pushes the tombstones. It might be because, you know what, though? The base code for tombstones might not allow that, is always a possibility as well. It might have been coded to require the manual adjustment, and so they can't do it automatically on the back end. It's a possibility. I'm not saying that's what it is, but little things like that, we don't understand how the system was initially hobbled together, and I assure you it was probably hobbled together, which could be affecting it as well. Hashtag Hondays with Mrhappy. Okay, the Hondays thing, I get you swapping the M's, but I don't know that works quite the same. Hello there. Hi, viewer from A Realm Reborn, first time asker. Welcome. There's plenty of rare titles within the game, ranging from Hunts, Firmament, and of course the 20,000 Accursed Horde titles. Speaking of things I could log in and do every day. Question is, have you ever seen a 2.x title that is no longer obtainable on a character in-game before? Yeah, I mean, I literally played with legacy players throughout all of the release of Final Fantasy XIV. Like, every player I played with almost was a legacy player. And as such, they all have 1.x titles. Like 2.x titles that are no longer available are one thing, but there's 1.x titles also that are no longer available. I don't remember what any of them are, but I played with so many legacy peeps that I'm sure they had them, or even maybe I have one and I don't even know. I don't think I have any 1.x like fancy titles or anything, but I don't even know. Hashtag MWMH. Hey Haps, hi, what's cracking? My knuckles, I guess. So 6.4 coming soon and 7.0 on the horizon. It's still a far away horizon. I was curious as the next major arc that Square Enix could delve into for 14. So it occurred to me that the Alags were diving into void research as one of its emerging new studies. With this in mind, and the current going-ons in the post-Endwalker MSQ, do you think that we could either Alags can make a return? Alag's never going to be gone. Like, I'm never going to be convinced that the Allagans are not still behind absolutely everything. However, I don't think that's in the immediate. Here's the big thing. If we are going to Meracidia, their history with Allag is very important, which may then lead to more Allagan shenanigans, but I don't necessarily think that it's like Allagans as the main villain. I think they understand that we know the Allagans were everywhere, but we probably don't need to like keep going into them. Like, we just need to acknowledge like parts of their world or lore, like Eureka Orthos existing and things like that, that they're there and that they're present and they're part of the world, and it's consistent with the areas that they had commanded and taken over and stuff. But as a main villain, I don't think they're going to go into Allagan stuff all too much, and I don't think they're going to touch this in particular until they decide to bring Matsuno back in, because that was the element that introduced it, with them merging Void and technology with the Diablos armament, or the Diablo armament, whatever it was called. So yeah, I don't think we'll see that for a while. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Happy. Hi. How would you feel about Cap Tomes unlocking the ability to buy gear? All of a sudden, the food that I ate, like a tiny like pepper, like went down the back of my throat and is just sitting there. I need to drink something real quick. How would you feel about cap tomes unlocking the ability to buy the gear with uncapped tomes? Spending 825 cap tomes on chests lets you buy any and all chest pieces with uncapped tomes. No. So here's the thing. Would I care if they did this? No. I don't care at all, because I just don't. Do I think it's something they would ever do, or do I think it makes sense? Not really. The main reason being, capped tomes are there specifically to make you keep paying your subscription. So you go, oh, I need to log in and get my tomes this week so I can buy a piece. Or, oh, I want to start gearing up an alt, so I should make sure I cap my tomes this week. It's designed to get you to do that. As soon as you buy a chess piece, and you can buy every chess piece, that means cap tomes don't serve a purpose after the first few thousand. Like, I guess you could say, yeah, you double up on them, and then maybe you like double the price of the uncapped tome, so it takes forever. But I don't think that's in their interest specifically, not the player base's interest, specifically Square's interest. Yeah, or anywhere within their business strategy that would allow them to do that. Hashtag Mr. Happy Monday. Hey, Haps, how you doing? I'm doing all right. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. When 15 came out, I remember you doing a long discussion with other content creators about the game, so I was wondering if you're going to do that again for 16. I'm planning on a few things for 16. I'm not going to say what just yet. I mean, obviously, I'm not NDA'd anymore, but what I would have said is not NDA regardless. So that's yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. It's just be on the lookout for stuff. Hashtag Mr. Happy Monday. Hello, Haps. Hi. Have been watching for a long time now. Welcome. Asking question for the first time. Welcome again. I just transferred my character from JP to EU, and I'm planning on doing the next tier in PF. Is there any tips or hidden rules in the Western community about PF? So I'd like to level this immediately. Western community is not how I would put NA-EU as a whole. The behaviors across both are drastically different, and I cannot speak for EU at all. I will say this. You made a good choice going from JP to EU, because at least in EU, as far as I know, they actually use macros. Here in NA, people seem to be allergic to macros and reading in general. So you made the right decision about that. But I could not possibly speak for the EU PF other than good luck, because it's PF at the end of the day. Oh, and also what mobile games? I barely play mobile games anymore. Like, I have Honkai installed on my phone. I have like 20 minutes a day at most to play it at the moment, just because I've been cramming out videos and streams and everything. And Champions of the Continent, I occasionally log into and collect stuff because I love that game, and I really need to make time to actually play through all of the Bestower arcs, so that way I can do Bestower of All when it comes out. But that's about it. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Haps. Hi. After watching your video about the worst duty finder in NA, good. I like my own clickbait titles, I got to admit. I wondered if Square should take one server of each of the other data centers and move it to Dynamis. Okay, let me read your reason first, because I can tell you right now, I already know what the answer is. The reason behind it is because there's only 4 realms in Dynamis, and they're all new. That way, Dynamis would only be missing one server in the queue. Well, A, they're adding 4 more servers to Dynamis. Not that I'm saying that fixes anything. But that's deliberate. And then one thing I must say is that Dynamis has become bigger every day, but at a slow pace. So here's the problem with that. Even if you did that, it literally doesn't change anything. Because, A, well, I guess Excalibur and Jenova are fairly large. I can't speak for Coerl. If people want to keep queuing in the data centers they were just forced out of, they are going to pick up their character and either move it, as in transfer it, or just go visit the data center they were already playing on. It doesn't ground anyone there. And so as long as nobody feels like they have to be grounded there, a lot of people will just change server and change data center, even if they're just visiting, and call it a day. And that's the end of it. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Haps. Hi. How you doing? I'm doing all right. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. Ooh, we got another first-time asker here. Hey, I like it. I like first-timers. I thought that if they add a new class and they pick Chemist as a ranged DPS that creates items that vials instead of... Oh, no. They'll never make items a part of your job. Ever. You mean like consumables? Like actually from... No, they're never going to do that. Ever. It's never going to happen. So I'll tell you that right now. It would just be a mix ability. Like, it would be like Ninja Mudras, but as an ability. It'd be like, put the cauldron down, mix ingredient A, B, and C in that order, and then heat it up. And then it becomes a 6,000 potency explosion because it was a nitrolic acid or something. I don't know. Yeah, no, they would never, ever make you actually use consumables for the job to function, if that's what you're inferring. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Mr. Happy. Hi. Hope the move is good. Well, the move's been done. The move's been done for like 3 weeks now. But thank you all the same. Returning to A Realm Reborn 2.2 after years away from... Okay, so you were playing 2... For a second, I was reading it like you have been away for 2.2 years. I'm like, how did you measure it to 0.2? Anyway, thoughts on making the most of each patch and not rushing the content. Currently on Zolaria, it seems all of Realm-Reborn content is extremely slow for queue times. Is there a server best for tackling it? Is due to a general lack in content currently? No, I mean, I can't speak much for Zolaria's population before, but it's also going to depend on the time of day that you're actually queuing. Crystal, I believe, is where Zolaria is. That is going to be slower than Ether or Primal. Not by much, but a little bit slower. And if you're on a DPS, it's also going to be probably a little bit slower. So being a tank or a healer speeds that up, and if not, being on another data center speeds that up, specifically Ether or Primal, both of which would be very quick. And yeah, I mean, my thoughts on making the most of each patch, not rushing. I mean, my thought is do whatever you want. I'm not the one playing your game for you. I shouldn't tell you what you should or shouldn't be doing. You do whatever you want. You know, you pay your sub. That's what people like to say, right? You don't pay my sub. You know, you pay your sub. That's good. So enjoy yourself. Hashtag Mr. Happy, I don't know anymore. Hey, Haps. Hi. I wanted to know what your favorite fight was to prog, but least favorite to re-clear. Ooh. That's tough. It's very specific. You know, I think it might be E7. The birds, which everybody makes fun of now. On prog, before we had it figured out that it was just 1 or 2 patterns, it was generally okay and liked. And the very next week and every week after, it got worse and worse. P7 wasn't that much different, but E7 might be one where I was like, that was a pretty cool fight. And then next week I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever done. I don't know why I'm here. Please get me out of here. Please. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hey, Haps, what's happening? Hey, I make that joke all the time. Hated that. Sorry. That's why I do it. Anyway, 2 quick question. Are you attending FanFest in London? No, I'm not attending FanFest at all. They would have to be paying me. Well, not paying me, but they have to be paying for my ticket, paying for my travel, paying for my hotel. I cannot do it. I also have no way of getting a ticket to London, like, period. I don't have an EU membership at all. So the only way is if Square invited me. And I'm not even going to NA's FanFest. So I'm probably not going to any FanFest, to be honest. 2, you mentioned you're back at the gym. Hell yeah, dude. Could we get a collab with Zeems or you 2 become gym? Yeah, I don't know that Zeems or I are going to fly to where each other lives to pump. But, you know, we'll be there in spirit. How about that? Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, hey, hello, hi, hey. Got a quick one for you. Sure. Why does Square Enix split the patch notes between preliminary and complete instead of releasing them all at once? Because it's a marketing trick. By releasing the preliminaries, they get people excited a few days before the patch. So people have something to talk about all throughout the weekend. Oh, I can't wait till 6.4. And then also, I can't wait to see the full notes for the job changes, because that's the main thing that's never in the full notes. So essentially, we would only get patch notes on Monday with the like everything, including the job changes, versus having Friday to kind of stew about some of the features and look at some of the things that we have to look forward to. They could absolutely release them all at once on Monday. Wouldn't be much of a difference, but it is probably more of a marketing tool to have that double release so people are talking about it for days and days on end. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello, Haps. Hi. 2 quick questions. Sure. 1, why are the dungeon sets BIS for ultimates? I keep seeing that for T, and you mentioned it being the case for top, or it will be the case for top in 6.5. The 6.3 dungeon gear was BIS for DSR. When reading, adding the item level sync, but I'm not sure I follow. So, ultimates get an item level sync 1 patch after they've been released, and that item level sync is usually the same item level as the weapon it drops. So in the case of top, for example, it's getting a 635 item level sync. Now, the gear that we had for top is item level 630, with the weapon being the sole 635. And the reason they don't cap it at 630 instead of 635 to counteract this is because then the weapon would actually lose some stats, and that's just kind of silly. You know, imagine beating top, getting a 635 weapon, and then going back in and it's synced down. You know, they're not going to do that. But the dungeon gear from 6.5 will all be item level 635. So you'll get 5 item levels across your left side, well, across all of your left side gear. Now, that is additional health, additional damage, which over the course of an encounter is like 18, 19 minutes long, is massive, compounded on top of the fact that in 6.4, we'll have higher tier food, we'll have higher tier pots. All of that stuff compounds and makes it easier. But the gear in particular, it is because of that 5 item levels that you get on all of those pieces. What that also means is later down the line, when we start getting gear that's way higher item level, you can keep these pieces and use them as opposed to those later item level pieces. The reason being is you can keep your materia melts. Very, very important for tanks and healers in particular. Now, for the second question here, whenever they've been mentioning Borderland Ruins being temporarily disabled, you keep saying it'll be gone for good. When's the last time they temporarily disabled something for PvP Rival Wings? When CC released and they reworked PvP, and it has since come back. No, they never brought back the mode they got rid of. Astrologos has never returned. They have a second map, but the first map was taken away to rework it and never came back. On top of that, Borderlands Secure, as you said, will be gone, probably not coming back. Slaughter, they said they were removing. The Fold, they said they were removing. The Feast, they said they were removing. However, during the Feast's lifespan, they often would just remove maps. So they have a history of taking things away and never giving them back. And so we have every reason to believe these things are never coming back. All right, and I think I'm just going to rattle off the last few here as just because I can. Let's see. I had somebody asking when 6.45 should drop. Should be like the week before FanFest, like a week and a half before FanFest. I'd have to look at a calendar. Usually you just add 8 Tuesdays and it's that. But I think in this case, the 8 Tuesdays, it's either the week of NA FanFest or it is the week before. I think it's the week before, but I'd have to look at my calendar to remember in particular. Let's see. Twitch's ads completely interrupt streams while you're streaming. No, I know that. It pops up, you miss whatever's happening. Yeah, I know. That's how it is right now. You either have Twitch Turbo, a sub, or you're probably watching ads. And it's not my stream, it's everyone's stream. And I would never simultaneously cast on YouTube because I have a pretty good deal over on Twitch. It's also a lot more resource intensive to stream to 2 different platforms, and it probably wouldn't change anything because YouTube still also does run ads unless you have YouTube Red. So the difference is I probably wouldn't be running them all the time, but I'm not really sure how YouTube's like casting system even works. But no, Twitch is my primary source of income, and I will tell you right now, every day when I am running ads and when I'm streaming over on Twitch, I probably earn, I don't know, it depends, like $100 to $150 a day on just the ads that I run on Twitch. And I can tell you right now, that is more than some of my hardest working videos on YouTube ever make. So the simple ask of running a few minutes of ads every hour and people just kind of bearing with it is just kind of the expected norm over on that platform, or for someone to have a sub, or for someone to have turbo. And I wish it wasn't that way. YouTube I love because I've always been able to make videos. I just put them out there. They're free. And if somebody wants to avoid the ads, they can usually skip them after a few seconds, or they pay for YouTube Red and they don't get them and the creator still makes money. It's just the scope of the way things are right now in terms of making an adequate amount of money in order to say, hey, I am doing this full time. It is massively supportive. I mean, making $100 to $150 a day on top of whatever I'm usually making on that day, which is a completely random variable. I have no idea how many people are going to subscribe to the channel, or how many people are going to tip, or how many people are going to do bits, or am I going to have a sponsor? Am I not going to have a sponsor? Is anyone going to buy something from one of my... All of those are just random variables. And ads kind of are too, but they're way less random, way more reliable. And it's why, again, YouTube is like one of the things I do still, because I love the consistency of it. I also love making the videos, but that level of consistency from that sole source of just being ads has been monumentally supportive, even though Twitch is definitely by far my primary income. Then there's a comment about the devs haven't responded to feedback thing. Yeah, I mean, I covered that last week. I guess I don't need to touch upon it again. Favorite trial song? Oh, there's too many. I mean, I'm a huge fan of To the Edge. I love Garuda's theme. Ravana's theme. Honestly, Bismarck's theme is pretty great for me too. I can't pick one. Picking one is nigh impossible. I guess if I have to, I'll go To the Edge, but like I just like so many of them near equally, I suppose. And then is there anything else that we have here that I need to touch upon? There's a few questions that I personally didn't want to take. There's a few here. Oh, there's the all healer ultimate thing. What can they do to make healers not so boring? I mean, you need to make more healing required, which is a struggle because they don't want less experienced healers to be scared of playing healer. But people aren't playing healing because it's boring, so it's kind of weird. But I'd also like to say that all healer thing, while it's kind of hilarious and sad at the same time, it is also not something you could just decide to do. Those 8 people had to very carefully tailor and craft that comp and when they were going to heal and how many GCDs there. Like, that wasn't like some random thing they threw together and just made happen. That was something they worked hard to make happen. So I don't like using it as a baseline, but it does acknowledge the fact that, as we've been saying for ages, healing could probably use an upgrade. And I think the only way to do that is to make more healing required more frequently. I wouldn't even be too hurt. I don't know why. Hurt? Okay, I just threw that one out there. I wouldn't even be too surprised or taken aback by the idea of all heals having a shorter GCD so they could increase the amount of damage dealt. Specifically healing GCDs being like 1.5 seconds, for example, but then the DPS ones being a little bit longer and maybe packing a little bit more of a punch or something like that. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I think that might open up a little bit more freedom to, actually use your healing GCDs and whatnot. But I'm not the expert. I'm not the one who's in charge of all this, and I'm just going to wait to see how they respond and what it is exactly that they want to do. I wonder if they're taking that into serious consideration and stuff like that based on that one video. But I mean, there's been things like all tank ultimate and stuff like that too before, and they haven't really taken it all too seriously. So, or all tank savage and whatnot, I guess. I mean, there has also been some attempts at all tank ultimate. That's definitely a thing. UCOB, I'm fairly certain, has an all tank clear, if memory serves. So, we'll see. Let's see what happens. But that's going to be a wrap for this week's episode of Mondays with Mr. Happy. I got to go finish up those Final Fantasy 16 videos, which hopefully you already enjoyed before clicking this, or are going to go enjoy now that you've watched this. Hopefully you finished this and managed to watch the whole thing as well. Anyway, again, ask your comments in the comment section for the video for next week. And enjoy the 16 stuff. I'm excited. I'm very excited. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. And until then, take care.